Bum, 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 bum. Catch them is my real task. To train them is my cause. Da-na-na. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the game I played, not Pokemon. It is the beautiful, beautiful season of summer. For us up here in Wisconsin, we got like 65 days of pure bliss, which means that there's going to be car cruises happening now. Now, unfortunately, if you live in the cool southern states that have summer for more than 2 months, you actually probably end up going on more car cruises than I have in the past 5 years. But nevertheless, people that go on car cruises end up making a ton of mistakes that result in accidents, poor decisions, and just overall just some like really common mistakes. And you know, we're here to educate people on the super technical, and we're also here to also talk about some of the super simple stuff. And today is one of the super simple things that I think often gets overlooked. And these are the do's and these are the don'ts of car cruises. By the way, I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. Don't forget to subscribe, Wheels, Tire, Suspension, fitmentindustries.com. You can actually follow us on Instagram too. We're trying to get that count up. Otherwise, Alex.fi, let's get into it. You ready to roll? I'm ready to roll. Gels is making dances over in left field over here. Let's get into number one. Don't do anything on a cruise that you haven't done by yourself. So one of the biggest tips that I ever learned is that when I wanted to learn how my car was going to behave, I went to a parking lot where the only person I could humiliate was myself. And I'd go and I'd do a burnout, or I'd go try to figure out how my car behaved when I started to whip some cyclones or whatever it is that you want to call them if you want to be a technical person. And it just helped me like understand my car. And it also, a lot of other people do the same thing. You take it to a drag strip so you can learn how to actually run it. You take it to an autocross so you can actually learn how it turns and everything in between. But if you're going on a car cruise and you just recently picked up a Corvette, you're not gonna wanna go try to brag or show off to your friends, because if you haven't done it by yourself, more than likely when you do it surrounded by 20 people and you're filled with testosterone and you're blaring some, like corn or something like that, you're gonna make a mistake and you're gonna look like a dumb. Most importantly than not, a lot of times it doesn't have to really do with you more than it has to do with the people around you. Because when you make a mistake by yourself, the only person that you have to somehow feel, sorry for is you. But if you're surrounded by other people and then you make some mistakes, now all of a sudden, now you're that guy. You're the guy that got in the accident on the car cruise. You're the guy on the club page getting made fun of. You're the guy that has the one GoPro video of you just doing a burnout, running into a tree. You're that guy. And you could avoid being that guy, but just not doing it until you actually understand how your car behaves. Tip number 2, cruises usually end somewhere. So don't be a D-bag in the end lot and do burnouts or run around at the restaurant or make a bunch of noise, or overall just be like some tween that's trying to make a whole bunch of noise, because it's rude. A lot of times those end locations are a restaurant, they're a mall, they're a parking lot, but nevertheless, they are a place that is usually trying to conduct some form of business. Most of the cruises that I go on end at lunch because I just like to eat all the time. Now, we get it, you get into the end lot and everything in between, it's great, you go eat, and then when you go to leave, that's when you go do the burnout out onto the street, or maybe you rev it a ton and everybody's staring at you. Just don't. Just wait till you get out on the highway, or wait till you get onto the on-ramp to do that sort of stuff. Just keep it away from people and keep it away from places, mostly because a lot of car enthusiasts already have a bad stigma by like the normal world, because you're that person that's loud and rambunctious and makes a lot of noise and does a lot of damage to stuff. Now, whether you want to admit that or not, it's completely up to us, but if we can prevent that, you can usually prevent it by just not being a bag. Another tip, that if you want to be disappointed in a cruise before you go, research who organized it and how much experience they have in actually hosting a car cruise. This happens a lot because we all want to go on cruises. We all want to go around town or go out on the countryside or maybe go around the lake for a cruise, and that's great and all, but if we don't know where we're going and we don't know who organized it, you may have a pretty terrible experience because they have no experience. A lot of times what we would recommend is research who's going to be organizing this event and how often they've done it in the past. See if they actually have talked to the restaurant that they're ending at, because if 40 people show up to a restaurant with no reservation or no idea, they're gonna wanna kill you too. Those cruises can be difficult because they are a lot of work to put on, especially considering they don't know who's going to attend, which comes down to whether you want to go towards an open invite cruise or a closed invitation cruise. Now, open invitation cruises are kind of like, they're kind of like the club when you're 21. They're a lot of fun, there's a lot of people, things smell, you're paying a lot of money for things that you're not entirely sure that the value is there, but you get the experience, and the experience is what the most fun is. Those open invite cruises are the experience, but they don't often have a lot of all the other good stuff. Closed invitation cruises, on the other hand, are kind of like the nice Outback Steakhouse dinner you go to on a Thursday night. It's gonna be good. You're not gonna be that disappointed in the quality. It's gonna be a little bit quieter, a little bit calmer, but you're okay with that because you've grown up, you've had your experiences, and now you just want to enjoy dinner without being, you know, having your ears blown off by some dude without an exhaust that's just straight at red line for 30 seconds. Close-in cruises are gonna have some benefits that you can be a part of, and if you know who those people are, my recommendation would be to shoot them a message on Facebook and see if they can invite you to the next one. But research who's organizing these events and how much experience they have so that you can set your own level of expectation on the cruise wherever you feel like it is most relevant. That way you'll never be disappointed. That goes into the next thing though. With open invite cruises, the bigger the cruise, the slower they go. You're gonna wanna worry about others more than you're gonna wanna worry about yourself. But if you have any sort of pro tip here, it would be either be in the front of the cruise or be in the complete back of the cruise. Being in the middle is a little like being in the middle of like a roller coaster where your head gets whipped around super hard and you're not having any fun, but everybody in the front's having a blast, everybody in the back is having a blast, but you're stuck in the middle, like the peanut butter in a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but it's not tasteful and it's not delicious. It's actually terrible, and it makes you not want to have any fun because you're stuck playing an ebb and flow game of brake and gas because there's 55 people on this cruise. The bigger the cruise, the slower it goes because you're going to be running into things like stop signs and lights and all sorts of other issues. You're going to run into pedestrian things that you're going to have to take into account, and other people that are on one-lane roads and you can't pass because of a double yellow. So if you want to go on a faster cruise, that takes us back to point 3 of going on those closed invitation cruises, or just cruise with a couple buddies versus cruising with a big group. However, the bigger the cruise, often the more fun it can be because you're just got like this mob going down the highway, and that is a lot of fun. You can make some really good pictures, take some good rollers, and it's not bad. Tip number 5 is really easy. If you don't show up with gas in your tank, everyone's going to hate you. That's it. There's no explanation on that one. Another tip here for you is that cruising is fun, but if you can't talk to others, it's pretty much really lame. You're gonna wanna get a radio, like a little walkie-talkie. If you remember 2002, walkie-talkies are still relevant to some of us, or Zello. There's a couple apps that you can get through your app store that allows you, it's kind of like a walkie-talkie. You can set up channels and talk to each other, and it's an absolute blast. A lot of people host it for road rallies and things like that so that you can talk to other teams in different cars, and you can also get like real-time updates to driving and directions and addresses and things like that if you need to, because a lot of times once you start a cruise, things do change, and if you can talk to another person that's leading the cruise or somebody that's right behind the person leading the cruise, it helps a ton with you having a good experience. Which brings us into the last cruise do or don't. Don't turn left, only rights. Left turn signals don't exist when you're on a cruise, only rights and straightaways, that's it. Stop blaring through yellows as well. If you're in the front of the cruise and you see a yellow light, just stop. Because if it's turning yellow, not everybody's gonna make, like I don't understand the difficulty in that part, but don't just stop. And always remember that you've got 30 people behind you. That especially goes for people that are organizing these cruises, is that your start points, your end points, and your drive routes, you're gonna want to make sure that it has 2-3 lanes if you have 20 cars. You're gonna wanna make sure that you're starting at a park and ending at a park. If you or if you end at a small restaurant, they may not have the parking available to you, whereas a park almost always will. If you're going into a park, we're gonna wanna make sure that we're being safe in the park, because if you're going on a cruise on a Sunday, which most people do, there's like children and playgrounds, and you're gonna wanna, be careful around that. If you're cruising in a large group, probably be careful as to where you're ending. If you're ending on a hillside, you're not gonna wanna roll into another person. You're not gonna wanna do a burnout into a tree. There's a lot of like really basic stuff, but the most important thing is show up on time, have a full tank of gas, have a walkie-talkie ready, know where you're going, don't turn left, only right, be safe, and have fun. And those are our car cruises tips, but if you have one, drop it below. Let me know what your best tip for a car cruise is. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. If you're looking for wheels, tires, or suspension, it's your boys, FitmentIndustries.com. We have everything you could possibly imagine when it comes down to that stuff by now. So I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. We will see you later.